Hi there, this is Dr. John Whitcomb talking about the nitrogen in your bones will tell you how much meat we have eaten or should be eating. This is an interesting concept, and let me tell you how the science works. Turns out that our lighter elements all have multiple variations on their theme. And if they have an extra neutron in their nucleus, they'll still have the same chemical reactivity, but they'll be a little heavier. Interesting. Now, nitrogen normally comes weighing 14 daltons between the protons and neutrons in its nucleus, but there's a tiny percentage of it that's 15. Okay. Now, plants absorb nitrogen from the soil and the air, and they absorb a certain amount, and there's actually a couple kinds of plants. Some absorb a little more than others. And animals that eat plants then concentrate that nitrogen up the food chain. And folks who eat animals that eat plants get higher up the food chain and have more nitrogen in their bones. What happens if you take the bones of Neanderthals from more than 10,000 years ago? Why 10,000 years ago? Because 10,000 years ago, on 3 different continents, we transitioned from hunter-gatherer to what we call modern civilization and started growing grains and started becoming plant eaters ourselves. Prior to that, we had been hunter-gatherers. And the best we can tell by looking at hunter-gatherers today is they aren't always successful hunters. But if they are, they prefer meat. And they always are trying to get meat. And Weston Price, one of our most famous purveyors of early nutrition, who traveled all around the world to every prehistoric culture he could find, noted multiple people who focused on eating animals, in fact, saving the fat from the animals. And Steffansson and Jorgenson, 2 anthropologists trained at Harvard, went up to live with the Inuit back in the turn of the last century and lived for 5 years with the Inuit, never eating one vegetable or plant. Came back healthy as they could be. In fact, the folks in New York City didn't even believe them, just ridiculed them, said you would have gotten scurvy and died. So in total dismay, they agreed to an experiment. They lived at Bellevue Hospital for a year, having their urine checked every morning to make sure they were in ketosis. And then they'd walk around New York City for the day, only eating meat and fish. And after a year, they'd lost a pound or 2 and were perfectly healthy. So you can be perfectly healthy eating a lot of animal. What we don't know is that long term. Can you do that forever? Because that certainly acidifies your body and certainly will leach calcium out of your bones. So we do know that humans branched off and started becoming meat eaters just 5 million years ago, but our core physiology prior to that, and that of all of the great apes, was based on an alkaline diet. And if you add the milliequivalents of primitive cultures all around the world, 180 different cultures, they were roughly 80 milliequivalents to the alkaline side. And today we're about 50 milliequivalents to the acidic side. So we've had a swing from net alkaline to net acidic. I think I may have gotten those numbers turned around. But nevertheless, we've had a swing from one side to the other. And you can see if you're net alkaline or acidic, or you can go to the drugstore and buy pH paper and measure your urinary pH. If you eat nothing but vegetables for a week, your urinary pH will be 8, alkaline. And if you have a steak and cheesecake for dessert, your urine will be acidic because the biological ash of animal proteins is acid. But back to nitrogen in our bones. Guess what happens with Neanderthal bones? They had more nitrogen in their bones than even predators, cats, suggesting that the Neanderthals were the apex of apex hunters. And that's what we found in every Paleolithic set of bones. What did we normally eat? We as humans used to eat animal as much as we could get. We don't do that anymore. we say it's bad for you. Is it? You can make an awful lot of your inflammation go away. You might enjoy the book Carnivore Code, not Carnival. Enjoy that book, read it. It'll change your mind on many things. I don't know that the whole story is completely worked out, but it's not clear that we were born to be vegans. Dr. John Whitcomb, News and Nutrition. Enjoy your steak.